Good afternoon, and it's a great pleasure for me to come to you again on this fine Sunday afternoon. Rather pleasant. And yeah, there's always a breeze, and it doesn't make it quite as pleasant. But this is the first time I believe I'm reporting or podcasting or whatever you may call it from my new home on 8-135 Main Street South at Pineview Court in Winkler, Manitoba. If you would see the other side of the camera, you'd see boxes, but things are starting to get organized. I moved just a week ago, and it's a great place to be. I'm happy to be here. I also was happy to be at the other place. But sometimes circumstances change, and you have to change with them. Wow, we're into election garbage. Too bad we've got so much name calling going on, direct hatred between the two parties and so forth. It's absolutely saddening, whether it's in the United States or whether it's here in Canada or whether it was here in Manitoba or in Saskatchewan or BC. We cannot differ unless some people have to absolutely attack personally. And yes, I sometimes get caught in that same thing, but I try not to. And name calling, if we can't discuss and debate in a civil manner, then what's the use? Then we're just arguing. And that's something that my good wife Judith, my late good wife Judith of 47 years, she taught me that, and more I sense how right she was. Not only on that thing, but many other things. So we're on the downward stretch. That's as far as the election is concerned, October 21st. The key thing is to find out who you want to vote and then make sure you go and vote, and also persuade others to come with you to vote as well. And we still live in a free country, and you can persuade them to vote for the person you want to vote for. Oh, I know that may sound a little silly, but that's the way we used to do it. And we still should. Convince other people of the people we support. And if they ask you why, well, then you can tell them why. I get into a lot of debates, and I just had one on Twitter. And, and at the end, of course, because I didn't agree with him, then, of course, it came down to a little bit of name calling. And I say, you know what? When I always know when the Liberals have run out of ideas, they start to call names. It may not be a derogatory name, but they say, oh my, it's so poor. I feel so sorry for you that you're so ignorant, kind of thing. But that's okay. I'm going to go for a walk a bit later on, but if we want to talk about some things that are going on in agriculture, we still have the trade issue. We may not think that the whole blackface thing that Trudeau was caught in isn't a big deal. Well, it might not be a big deal, but it is a big deal to the international leadership and the international community. Why? Because our Prime Minister has become a laughing stock. The story broke out of New York City, and it went around like wildfire around the world. And I know people that are now attending international conventions, international meetings of leaders are saying, wow, what a what a joke as far as Canada is concerned. Yes, if the leader is considered a joke, that means the rest of the world considers us as a joke. And that's not fun. In fact, as former Ag Minister Jerry Ritz told me way back when, and that had to do with when it first came out, about this being an international story about PM Trudeau. He says, something, Harry, the trade policies, all the trade issues, they are all put on the back burner. Nobody takes our leaders serious. And so why should they waste time debating and discussing and negotiating trade issues. We have a much bigger problem right now as far as our agriculture community is concerned. We have an issue as far as harvest and crops is concerned that's not fun. Yes, I know farmers and others will say, well, there's always next year. But let me tell you one thing. If a person like myself, self-employed, working, I used to work at a real job, I lose my salary for 1 year. What happens to my mortgage? What happens to me feeding my family? Unless I have a whole year's worth of disposable income saved up just for that. You know what I'm talking about. Farmers are exactly in the same boat. They take their living out of the profits of their farming. As one banker once told me, you know, if you need $40,000 to live for a family of 4, or whatever it may be, that means that you have to make $40 an acre above your business profit, above your take-home, or your expenses, I should say. And 1,000 acres, you know, that's $40,000 that you have to clear just for your living expenses to earn a normal salary. And that's why some farmers went to 2,000 acres. Then they only need $20,000 or $20 an acre. And so there are some of these issues that continue to play into farming. And right now, in many of the cases, whether it's taking out $1 million combines and $500,000 tractors and grain carts and so forth, muddying them in and getting stuck, and the wear and tear and the time and the effort, the mental strain, the physical strain for farmers, all of this. And then the extra propane that farmers have to pay to dry the crops because they're going in there. And then when I talked to Dan Sawatsky, the manager of the Keystone Potato Producers Association, you know, he says the crop isn't 50% harvested. That means only half of the potatoes are in the bin. The other half are still out there. And it's not so much the wetness that is a concern, even though it is. The other concern has to do with the frost that is getting closer and closer. In some cases, I'm sure we've had, whether it's been a damaging, killing frost, but anytime there's a killing frost and potatoes are in the ground, they are shot. That means they would have to leave them. So, yes, this is something that's been going on, our harvest. And the one positive is that we've probably, in many cases, refilled the subsoil moisture so that the water table is up a little bit higher, so that we're in good shape for next year. But who knows what next year will bring. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you today. Hopefully I can start doing more and more of these on a regular basis. I appreciate the encouragement that people give me. I also do these sometimes in Low German, dat zelf Plautitsch, en mir het ook schijn, wanneer ik ook Plautitsch kan reden, aber hier wo ik nu bloos meestens English. So for this time around, this is Harry Seaman saying, have yourself a pleasant Sunday, and going into next week, farmers, be careful. It's not worth risking limb or life to get that crop off. I know many of you do, but if you're doing it, as somebody once said, you know, if you can't be good, then at least be careful. And in this case, I'm telling you, be careful. That Seaman says, somewhere, sometime, somehow, I will see you again.